I'm a retired cat burglar. So, out of boredom, I was going through the old AMA requests and found this post asking for any home burglars to do an AMA. Well, I quit the practice quite a while ago, but perhaps I can satisfy any burning questions any of you may have. Questions about safety, the answers to which will probably terrify you. The why and how, or just about anything, are quite acceptable. Obviously, I'm using a throwaway for this, and yes, I'm using protection to hopefully keep myself safe, so please be a bit understanding if I happen to be responding slower than you'd like. Also, please try to do a search, CTRL+F, before asking something that is probably obvious. It may have been answered already, and to answer what I know will be the single biggest question. No, I never got caught. I quit of my own choosing after moving away and finding a decent job. So, ask away. The house I live in with my boyfriend was broken into and most of our stuff stolen about a year ago, and it was seriously one of the most traumatic events of my life. We are college kids and lost pretty much everything we owned of any value. I still have trouble sleeping at night and have had to install alarms on everything. I just can't believe a human being could do that to another human. We are all in this thing together just trying to get by. No questions, just wanted to bitch. I'm glad you stopped though. Cheers to your new job and hope that goes well and you never feel inclined to return to the lifestyle. I'm going to give you the best advice for home security you will ever get. Window laminate. Alarms, dogs, all of that are either useless or reactionary. The only thing that ever really shut me down were laminated windows. A crook's biggest weapon is speed, and their biggest enemy is time. If somebody were to try to break into your home and ended up hitting a window that was laminated, they would, in almost every case, run off. It isn't even all that expensive, especially since you only need to laminate the first floor windows and any windows on a first floor roof on a 2-story house, such as a porch or deck roof. Don't waste money on alarms or dogs. Spend it on good window laminate, put in by professionals, and you will be much safer. Were you ever afraid of a home owner with a gun? That's about the only thing I was truly afraid of. Just out of curiosity, from your point of view, would a homeowner be in the right to kill you if he or she were to catch you in the act? Did you consider your life forfeit when you entered a home, or did you never really think about the dying part? I never did come to terms with that question, and I've thought about it quite a bit over the years. Would they be in the right? Yes. In my mind, I don't know. I considered what I was doing a do or die situation. So I felt that what I was doing was forgivable, but I don't think I would have held any grudge against a person who shot to kill. To be fair, though, I would fall to the ground and beg and plead like a little baby, at which point, if I had not already been shot, killing me would be considered murder. Yeah, you read that right. The laws in several states, including the one I was in, are so favored that shooting a person who has broken into your home but is in a position of surrender or some such nonsense is considered murder. I never really worried much about it, though. As I've said before, where I was in life at the time, there wasn't much left for or of me. Q1. Okay, you've broken in my house. Where do you look/search for items? Where do you not look? You seem to be in a hurry, so do you ever go all the way upstairs? Q2. I've always hypothesized that burglars don't like poor weather. Snow, footprints, rain, can't hear outside well, freezing cold, just not worth venturing out. Did you rob people during poor weather? Q3. Let's say you hit the lottery and win $10 million tomorrow. Would you ever try to make amends with the people you've robbed, anonymously or otherwise? Or do you really not care? Q4. Didn't you worry about neighbors seeing you? Seems like our neighbors notice everything. Last one. Q5. A question, but also sort of a rant. You've mentioned that you steal from wealthier people. Do you understand that it's not about rich/poor, it's about people feeling safe in their homes? If we were ever robbed, my wife would probably want to move away. Any future homes would have to be alarmed and bolted up like Fort Knox. For the rest of our lives my wife would be cowering in fear every time she heard wind blow outside. Our whole lives would be changed, for the worse, if we were ever burglarized. Does this thought bother you? Thanks for doing this AMA. Very interesting to read. See my response to Piglet24 for where I would look. And yes, I would go upstairs. Weather didn't bother me too much. Snow? So what if there are tracks? They'll lead to the roads, which are cleared. Most people don't even look twice at tracks, though. Rain? Most people stay inside when it rains, and, due to the whole mental thing going on with the brain, tend not to look outside too often, except for brief glances to see if it is still raining, unless it is a heavy rain, when they don't even do that. Rain is a good time to hit a house. Cold? If it got too cold, a person walking around would raise some eyebrows, but otherwise, it didn't bother me. And yes, I hit people during poor weather, especially rain. As I said, few people are outside and most people don't look out the windows. As for neighbors, I tried to only hit houses with enclosed backyards. That beautiful wood fence you have up. Those lovely tall bushes. That ivy covered fence. Congrats, you've just ensured that your neighbors will probably never see me. See my response to UM7 for how to protect yourselves better. Don't waste money on alarms, they do nothing. Get window laminate. And yes, I understand the mental trauma it causes, but when a person's mind is thinking do or die, that sort of thing isn't a big concern to them. Did your conscience ever bother you after breaking into people's homes and stealing their stuff? No. I almost always hit the homes of wealthier families, so I tended to consider myself a sort of Robin Hood. As well, I was in pretty bad shape back then, and considered it just my way of surviving. Had I been caught, it wouldn't have mattered to me. In prison, you get 3 hots and a cot. That was more than I would have gotten, had I not been stealing. How accurate is Home Alone? I actually tripped on toys once. The room's curtains were drawn, and the light switch was not very close to the door. I didn't carry a flashlight. I made hits during the day and never really needed one, and when I went into the room, I stepped on and broke an old Dino Rider toy. Seeing that toy brought back a lot of memories and felt worse for breaking that toy than I did for breaking into and robbing the house. Biggest haul or weirdest thing you saw / stole in a house? X. The weirdest thing I ever saw was somebody who apparently collected those wooden Indian statues from outside cigar shops. They had more than I cared to count. I cannot tell you how creepy it is to be in a house with those things lurking in the shadows, staring at you. That particular house actually scared me a bit, because I kept jumping, thinking the statues were a person. A statue would be in a random corner, and I would see it, and my heart would start racing. My biggest haul? Probably around $1,000. I never went for electronics, just quick and easy pornables or cash. Single most expensive object stolen? Most stolen from one house at the same time. Any incidents with dogs? Or homeowners actually home? Scariest moment? Most expensive object? A gold watch. I could have grabbed a diamond wedding ring, but even I had standards. Most stolen from one house was around $1,000. And dogs? Let me give you the lowdown on dogs. They aren't protection or security. A dog can be easily tamed usually. Act friendly, give it a few rubs, and they'll happily follow you around. If that doesn't work, after my first run-in with an annoying dog, a small yappy dog, I started carrying rawhide sticks with me. That stopped them very fast. Also, on the topic of dogs, if you want a security dog, get a small loud dog that barks at almost everything. Big dogs may look scary, but considering most people don't like the chance of their dog turning on them, the dogs are either very tame or chained up. Small dogs, however, bark a lot. Those were the only ones I was ever worried about. Even then, as I said, a stick or two of rawhide and they were down for the count. Scariest moment? I tried climbing up on a deck roof to get in an open window and slipped. I caught myself, and I was only on the first floor roof, but my heart was pounding that entire hit as it had never been in any other. How close did you come to being caught in the act? Ever leave any incriminating evidence behind? The closest was passing by a police car as they were going to the house. I was a few blocks away at the time. I was never really close to being caught, but the question of it was always there. I would usually be in and out in under 5 minutes. Evidence? No, none that I can think of. I was never caught, so I guess I didn't leave anything incriminating. If I did forget something, How would you rate that show It Takes a Thief on Discovery Channel? Is it realistic? Do they give good security advice? It was realistic enough. One of the points they made about finding a hider, a person who tries to hide their valuables, is spot on. If we have the time and find out that you hide stuff, you can expect to come home to a ransacked house. Otherwise, at least for myself, it was mostly a rush in and grab what I could, then get out situation. Most smash and grabs don't trash your home, and you probably wouldn't even notice they were there if it weren't for the broken window or opened door. Their security advice is lacking, though. Alarms mean nothing, since most smash and grabs are done in only a few minutes. I usually took 3 to 5 minutes. Cameras mean nothing, since a wise crook will have a mask. Really, the best advice they give, and the very advice I keep repeating, is window laminate. Of course, a good solid door on the front and back of the house is important, along with a decent deadbolt. If the deadbolt doesn't go into a stud, it is a waste of money. A crook's worst enemy is time, and the laminate takes up too much of that. What do you do about home alarms? Disable them? Avoid them? Here's one of the terrifying things. Alarms didn't matter. I would target houses marked with alarms and without equally. When your alarm goes off, the company will generally wait 15 to 30 seconds before making the call to you to check up on it, in case of false positives where you accidentally trip the alarm. At that point, if the company immediately alerts the police, the correspondence will take another 15 seconds, and if the police are immediately sent out, you still have about a minute, at worst, to do your thing. If you want to scare yourself, get a stopwatch and a friend, and start at your front door or a back window. Have them give the go ahead to start, and shout out 15 seconds, 30 seconds, 1 minute and 2 minutes, and see how much you could get away with in that time. My hits were usually between 3 to 5 minutes, and the only trouble I ever had with alarms was when they were not silent alarms. Those things can be loud and irritating. Worse, many companies, or many of their employees, don't bother asking for the code word. If somebody answers the phone and says sorry, it's just me, they'll take the person's word for it. They'll get suspicious when the alarm doesn't shut off shortly after, but you're usually good for about a minute at that point. And yes, I had answered the phone a few times to tell the alarm company it was a false alarm.